Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Ramo Rajamani Sada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Bhaje Ramena Bihata Nishacharachamu Ramaya Tasmai Namaha. Raman Nasti Parayanam Parataram Ramasya Dasosmyaham Rame Chittalaya Sada Bhavatu Me Bho Rama Mamuddhara Samasta Janakalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidwaram Satgurum Brahma Vidwaram. First verse we will chant as Mangala Charanam. Then we will go to fifth verse. Sat pratyaya kimnu vihaya santam hridyesha chinta rahita hrudakyah katham smaramastamameyamekam tasya smrutis tatra drudhaiva nishtha satyam rushava chididam jadam va dukkham sukham veti mudha vivadah adrushta niraham pratitihi nishtha vikalpa paramakhileshtha. Bhagavan was discussing the topic of the triad, how all darshanas, school of thoughts, they begin with this triad of Jiva Jagat Ishvara. Although they begin with the triad, the end journey is not in duality. End of the journey is not in duality. To understand that the substratum of the triad is consciousness. Substratum of the triad is Sat. That is the final understanding of all, well, you can't say all, at least Advaita Vedanta Darshana. Bhagavan Shankaracharya's main point in most of the discussions which come in Bhashya is this. So you can start with Dvaitam, but if you end with also Dvaitam, then what did we accomplish? He says we start with duality. Whatever duality has to offer, all of that is received very gracefully. And the culmination is in non-duality. That is the journey of Darshana, of Advaita Vedanta. Now Bhagavan in fifth verse he said, if we are discussing about, because whenever darshanas come, all these topics are discussed. What is pramana, what is tattvamimamsa, what is bandha moksha, and achara samhita. We saw this, last class we saw. So while you are discussing about tattvamimamsa, discussing about fundamental building blocks of your philosophy, they have to discuss about creation. So when you are discussing about creation, all these topics will come. Is it Satyam or is it Mrusha? Is it Dukkham or is it Sukham? Is it Chit or is it Achit? Bhagavan says, so Ramana MaharshiJi over here, Saddarshanam Bhagavan is Bhagawan Ramana MaharshiJi. Bhagavan says, if you do all of that inquiry, excluding Ahankara, that inquiry will be futile inquiry. Means we'll have a lot of information, but we will feel our sorrows are not going away by such an inquiry. It's even possible that we feel more agitated. And sometimes you might get even turned off from Vedanta, thinking that all of this is only technical discussion. Talk, talk, and talk, nothing is happening. If that is our perspective, Bhagavan is telling here there is a reason for that. We discussed about Jagat. We also negated Jagat. But the one who got saved is Ahankara. One who was protected is Ahankara. Means I still feel I am a jiva, and then I am saying Jagat is mithya. These two things cannot go together. I cannot hold my jivatva also and then say Jagat is mithya. It is just like saying I am still the dreamer in the dream, but dream world is mithya. So either both will be mithya or none of that will be mithya. Another point over here is Bhagavan says dukkham sukham veti mudha vivadaha. Vivada means what? Lot of arguments back and forth. In scriptural study, where can vivada come? If we have not appreciated importance of pramana. That is one point where vivada will creep in. If we don't think Upanishad is pramana or any other auxiliary text, even itihasa, Purana, if you don't take that as valid means of knowledge, then everybody will have their own opinions. So vivada will go away when we hold on to Upanishad as pramana. Adrushta loka niraham pratitihi. Don't discuss only about loka. Focus on that atma where there is absence of any loka. And loka alone is not sufficient. That is why the next word has come, niraham pratitihi. In that atma, there is no pratiti of ahankara also. These two words are very, very powerful and direct for meditation. What should I focus on when I'm at the seat of meditation? Two words. Mithyatva of Jagat, Mithyatva of Ahankara. Only Jagat, excluding Ahankara, that is not what you want. In many of the conversations with Bhagawan Ramana MaharshiJi, one point Bhagavan emphasizes is this. He says, although you are taking support of anatma to shift attention to atma, don't get stuck with anatma. Anybody coming to Bhagavan asking questions about anything related to anatma, Bhagavan's point would be, if you just inquire into the snake, you are not going to get anything out of it. This is our Vedantic way of saying. Bhagavan doesn't use snake rope example. His direct answer would be, what is the point in asking that question? The idea there is bringing attention from the object to the questioner, Ahankara, and then inquiring into the substratum of that Ahankara. This is when you inquire into the substratum, Ahankara disappears. Because there is substratum and superimposed relationship. You inquire into the rope, snake disappears. Inquire into water, wave disappears. Like that you inquire into Atma, Ahankara disappears. That is a point for us to reflect upon. How will Ahankara disappear? Disappear means, how will we do badha of Ahankara? At the level of Ahankara, you cannot negate Ahankara. If you want to put it even simpler words, you can say, what is the technique of negating this mind? Bhagavan gives two techniques. One, he says, you can focus on something and absorb your mind in that thing. Like breathing, for example. If you focus on breath, mind will get dissolved in that breath, observing the breath. Second technique, he says, is to question about the existence of mind. Thoughts are emerging in consciousness. He says, you inquire into consciousness, mind will disappear. Why did he say this? Upadeshasara. Manasam tu kim margane krute naiva manasam marga arjavat. For Ramana MaharshiJi, it is like very simple path. He said, why are you struggling so much to control this mind? Actually, the question was about controlling the mind. How do you control the mind? He says, one is focus the mind on something, some other object, and keep your mind there. That will bring focus. Second one, he says, inquire into the substratum of mind and see whether mind is an real entity or an illusory entity. If mind is illusory, where is the question of controlling it? Naiva manasam marga arjavat. Saddarshanam and other places, Bhagavan very easily uses mind and Ahankara. So we also should be comfortable. How do we mellow down this Ahankara? One is the sadhana path. Second one, he says, inquire whether Ahankara is real or it is illusory. Now the point here is, you cannot say Ahankara is illusory at the level of Ahankara. You cannot say mind is mithya at the level of mind. We have to rise up to the substratum. From substratum standpoint, superimposed is illusory. That is advancement in sadhana. The day we feel that the real solution lies in dissolving Ahankara. That is an advanced sadhaka. More our mind cooperates, easier this journey becomes. Dhatu prasadat. Dhatu prasada means mind and sense organs cooperating. Nishtha avikalpa parama akhileshta. This line I think we didn't see. Such kind of abidance in one's own self, devoid of jagat, devoid of ahankara. This is that nishtha is avikalpa. Avikalpa means there are no doubts. Is this ahankara real? Right now at the seat of meditation, somehow this ahankara is quietened. When I'm in vyavahara, will this ahankara again interfere? So once a thing is known to be mithya, we have to strengthen that understanding. Whether it is there, whether it is not there, substratum remains unaffected. So that is the meaning of the word avikalpa. Avikalpa means without any doubts. Without any doubts, that abidance which is free of any doubts, parama akhileshta, that is what is sought by everybody. All darshanas, whoever sought out seeking that absolute happiness, they don't want their culmination of the journey in doubts. So whatever darshana we have, let us go there. Let us abide in our own convictions. Even if somebody is a charvaka, if he has nishtha in charvaka, he'll be happy. To whatever extent his happiness definition is. Whereas somebody says, I'm a Vedantin, but he is filled with all doubts. Sometimes he feels he is Charvak, sometimes he feels he is Dvaitin, sometimes he feels he is Vishishta Advaitin. Then he comes to Advaita Vedanta. He said that doubtful knowledge does no good. Means whatever knowledge has to save us, that knowledge has to be doubt-free. Simple headache you get and you have a doubt whether which medicine you should take. Is it expired or is it still good? So one doubt comes, that thing cannot save us. In the same way, nature of Atma, Mithyatva of Jagat, in that we should have clarity. You know, the commentator, he writes a very beautiful thing about Paramakhileshta. He says, even if somebody is following some other darshana, if they live a disciplined life and focus on their darshana, whatever they are seeking, there will be no room for Vishaya Chintanam. I mean, there will be no room for extrovertedness. That is what is Parama Akhileshta. That is what is desired by every school of thoughts. There is no room for this mind to turn outside because they're seeking that nishtha. Person who is not seeking nishtha, he'll have 100 things to get distracted by. That is this verse, Nishtha Avikalpa Paramakhileshta. Now this sadhaka is somebody who is astika. Astika technically means one who believes in Vedas. Secondary meaning of astika is one who believes in Bhagavan. Now his question is Bhagavan with form or is he formless? Is Bhagavan with form or is he formless? In some places he has seen Bhagavan defined as formless. Another thing, beautiful description of Bhagavan's eyes, Bhagavan's forehead. Ramcharitmanas, so many times it came. Now he's thinking, what is Bhagavan's nature? Is he with form or is he without form? See what Bhagavan says. Sarupa buddhir jagatishvare cha Sarupa dhiratmaniya vadasti Arupa atma yadikaf prapashyet Sadrishtireka navadhirhi purna Sarupa buddhir jagatishvare cha Sarupa dhiratmaniya vadasti Arupa atma yadikaf prapashyet Sadrishtireka navadhirhi purna. This Anvaya we had done, I think, last time, right? Yavad atmani sarupadihi asti. Until one thinks of oneself as the one with form. Means I am with form, the one who thinks in this way. As long as one thinks in this way, Jagati Ishwarecha Sarupa Buddhi. In Jagat and in Bhagwan, there will be Sarupa Buddhi. Another way to look at it is, there has to be Sarupa Buddhi. Means if I am with form, I cannot say Bhagwan is without form. Formless entity cannot be different from me. What is the Sanskrit word for formless? Nirakara. Akara means form. Nirakara means without form. Now, if we say there is an entity which is Nirakara and it is different from me. So what made it different from you? What was that limiting boundary which made you and that formless entity different? Logically, it is not possible to be that way. So as long as sadhaka has jiva bhava, so at that point, saguna form of the Lord is our ashraya. Yadi atma arupaha, if atma is understood as formless, atma here means one's own self. If I understand myself to be formless, now how will I understand myself to be formless? What should I do so that I can come to line number 3? Drigdrisha Viveka. See, all these points, Bhagawan Ramana MaharshiJi does not elaborate here. And he will not say how to accomplish that fact. Prakriya, method is not elaborated. Only the final teaching is given. So, Drigdrisha Viveka, if sadhaka can do, letting go of drishya, that itself will bring him to this arupa atma. Whatever is seen, seer has to be different from seen. So mind is one rupa, body is also one rupa. So he is removing body, removing mind from aham. Then when he succeeds in really getting convinced about this prakriya and knows his nature to be atma, then we can say, yadi atma arupaha. Then what happens? He doesn't say Bhagwan becomes without form. He says, kaha prapashyet. Who remains to ask this question, whether God is with form or without form? Means if Jiva removes his conditioning, all questions about totality, rather questions about anything in this world, everything dissolves along with that conditioning of Ahankara. Bhagawan Ramana MaharshiJi says, in deep sleep, do we have this question? Is God with form or is God without form? What is the nature of world? Is it Satyam? Is it Mrusha? See, all questions are rooted in Ahankara. Ahankara dissolved, all questions are dissolved. Yadi atma arupaha kaha prapashyet. Sa drishtihi, that vision, eka. Eka means it is non-dual. If somebody understands nature of Atma to be oneself and understands it to be Advaitam, it is one without a second, that person will never be bound again. Until we only separate Atma and Anatma, there is always a fear. Oh, when I step out in the world, both of them will get mixed up. Rather, I will lose sight of Atma. That Atma which I so carefully discerned, so carefully separated. Now again I have to enter into Vyavahara. So we have to focus on that word Eka. Non-dual truth will never get affected by duality. This kind of vision is anavadihi. Anavadihi means without any breaks. It is not time bound. When I am withdrawn, this vision is there. So when I step out, vision gets lost. So this vision is not of this nature. That is why the word has come, anavadihi. And it is purna. Means she doesn't understand Atma as something finite. Every word is important. Huh? What does the word Purna refer here? He has understood Mahavakya. Finitude is removed through Mahavakya. So that Atma, whom he has understood as Arupaha, that Atma is Purna. Understanding Atma as Arupaha can be done only by Drigdrisha Viveka. But understanding Atma as Purna, infinite, not conditioned by body or any of the finite conditioning, that is done through Mahavakya. Okay. Now, some background about this verse. How we can look at it. We have seen this in Ishavasya Upanishad when we discussed the first mantra. Ishavasyam idagam sarvam. We said there are three possible meanings of the word Isha. Okay, I won't quiz you on that. First one is from the standpoint of Saguna Sakara. If you take the meaning of the word Isha as Saguna Sakara, how will that mantra open up? Pervade this whole creation by your understanding of that Isha, who is Saguna Sakara. Saguna Sakara means with attributes, with form. When Bhagavan takes avatar, Bhagavan Krishna, Bhagavan Rama, that is the Saguna Sakara Rupa of Bhagavan. So how can you pervade this creation with Saguna Sakara? You say pervade this creation by owning up their charitra, owning up their qualities. What did Bhagavan do when he took avatar? That is how devotee looks at his Ishtadevata. With that understanding, he says pervade this whole creation and see that Bhagavan in this creation. So every person, don't see that person as an individual, see that person as your Ishtadevata. That is called as pervading this creation with Isha. First meaning of Isha is Saguna Sakara. Second meaning of Isha was Saguna but Nirakara. Whatever qualities of Bhagavan we see, Sarva Shaktiman, Sarvajna, Sarveshwaraha. So in what form is Bhagavan Sarvajna? He said there is no form. That is why it is Nirakara. But Saguna, he has the guna of knowing. So if I take Isha as Saguna Nirakara, how will I pervade this whole creation by Saguna Nirakara? By the Prabhava of the Lord. Just like you keep lamp in one place, the flame of that lamp pervades the whole room. Like that, understanding of Bhagavan as Saguna Nirakara. His Prabhava, his power should pervade this whole creation. Means it's already pervading. I should understand it in that way. I don't have to make it pervade. That is Saguna and Nirakara. Third one is Nirguna Nirakara. Without attributes, without form. When I understand Bhagavan in that way, whatever is other than this truth, that is negated with this understanding. First of all, if I say Bhagavan is Nirguna Nirakara, he cannot be different from me. Guna means that which becomes manifest to sense organs. Me, myself, which is behind the sense organs. And Akara means there is some boundary. That is how you are able to see it. Nirakara means there is no form. The reason we are discussing this is, in Sanatan Dharma, when we say Bhagavan, all three things are mentioned. You read Vishnu Sahasranama, Lalita Sahasranama, or any of Bhagavan's names, Namavali, you will find only these three things. Either from Saguna Sakara standpoint, they'll be praised. Their power will be praised. In particular, if you read Lalita Sahasranama, because it is from Shakti standpoint. Saguna Nirakara form of the Lord is praised. And the third aspect is Nirguna Nirakara. This vocabulary, if we are comfortable, then we'll not get confused anywhere. Hold on to one verse. That verse covers all three aspects. Srimad Bhagavatam, Satchidananda Rupaya Vishwotpatyadi Hetave. Satchidananda Rupaya is Nirguna Nirakar. Bhagwan, who is of the nature of existence, consciousness, bliss. Vishwa Utpatti Adi Hetave, one who is the origin of creation, means one who is creator of this whole universe. That will be which attribute? Saguna Nirakara. He didn't do that as a particular form. Without form, he brought about this creation. Tapatraya Vinashaya, one who removes all three afflictions. In Saguna form also he can remove. But most importantly, he removes through Saguna Sakara form. By giving Upadesha, by giving teaching. Shri Krishnaya Vayam Numaha. We worship that Bhagwan, Shri Krishna, one who gave the teaching of Bhagavad Gita, Uddhava Gita. That is the glory of Saguna Sakar. As long as the main idea of this verse is this, as long as Jivatva is held on to, we cannot negate or we cannot refuse to accept totality. It is like two mirrors are there, one small mirror, one big mirror. In the science museums they have, right? You stand in front, you become small. You stand in front, you become big. I say if you stand in front of those two mirrors, let us say both are kept inclined to each other at an incline, at an angle. The moment you stand, reflection will fall in both places. Smaller mirror also it will fall, bigger mirror also it will fall. You cannot say, I want to appear only small, but I will not accept the other reflection. That smaller mirror is Jiva, bigger mirror is Ishvara. But if you remove the mirrors, so I want to be by myself. That is removing conditionings. Removing conditioning of Jiva, what remains is that absolute truth. In Vedanta Sara, we saw the example of drop and the ocean, Vyashti and Samashti. Do you remember that example? Drop was Vyashti, ocean was Samashti. Now the drop is already in the ocean. It is not somewhere and ocean is somewhere. That drop in ocean is thinking. If that drop holds on to its dropness, even a little bit, it cannot say it is one with ocean. If it holds on to its name and form, even a little bit, it cannot say I am one with ocean. But if that drop identifies with water, there is no difference between ocean, no difference between that drop. This is the case with Jiva and Ishvara. Jiva holds on to mind, Jiva holds on to body. It says nourishment for body, nourishment for mind. Both have to come from Samashti. There was a Mahatma Ji who would say this. Body has been gained from Panchamahabhuta. So nourishment of body comes from Panchamahabhuta creation. So where has your mind come from? This mind has come from Bhagavan, so its nourishment also has to come through Bhagavan. Mind is not gross 5 elements. So as long as Jivatva is there, nourishment will come from totality. But the blessing of Bhagavan is such, he will say, now you can into your real nature. We saw in Ishavasya, what were the two main qualifications for Shvetashveta Rishi to get Brahmajnanam? Tapah Prabhavat, Deva Prasadat. The power of his tapasya and grace of God. Both of those things led him towards Brahmajnanam and Nishtha, abidance in this truth. Now, one last point on this verse. How does Saguna Bhakti express in a Jnani? Because every Jnani you see, their journey started with Saguna Bhakti. Bhagawan Ramana MaharshiJi surrendered to Arunachala Shiva. That kind of devotion to his Ishta Devata. Of course, Bhagavan did not exclusively say it anywhere. But all he says is, this mountain is everything for me. It is my Guru, it is my God. So how does that bhakti express in a jnani who has gained this knowledge, who knows that Bhagavan is Nirguna Nirakara? How does this bhakti express? Somebody asked Maharajji this question. How does devotion express after knowledge? He says, same way as it expressed before knowledge. If your eating has not changed, walking has not changed, why will your bhakti change? That was his answer. He said, if somebody is worshipping Bhagavan as Saguna, why would things change after knowledge? That practice would still continue. Many Mahatmas, what they would do is, they would replace the word Atma. They would replace the word Brahman with Bhagavan. And they wrote several compositions. By doing that switch, code word, code language. They said if you discuss too much about Nirguna, some appreciate, some don't appreciate. A lot of, obstacles which you can avoid. In military, they have code language. They don't use our English things. They have their own sheet. What is that? Lima Charlie. Lima Charlie. What does that mean? Lima Charlie. Loud and clear. Loud and clear. So different things are there, mainly for ease of communication. You see the compositions of all Mahatmas. You wonder whether it is Saguna or is it Nirguna. Kabir Dashi is a master in this. Rama Niranjana Nyarare, Anjana Sakala Pasarare. He said there is only one thing which is Niranjana, which is not affected by Maya. Anjana means Maya, Niranjana means unaffected by Maya. What is that thing? Vedanta will say Brahman is that thing which is unaffected by Maya. What does he say? Rama Niranjana Nyarare. Bhagavan Rama is unaffected by Maya. Everything else is touched by Maya in some way or the other. So many regional saints, they have written compositions. There is one Marathi bhajan which says, Vishwacha Vishramare, Swami Maza Ramare. The one who is the Vishrama, the place to take refuge in this whole world, that is my Bhagavan Rama. So what is his nature? Satya Rama ekare, mithya te anekare. He says the reality is only Rama, everything else is mithya. So that was their way of keeping mind in Bhagavan, keeping mind in this truth. And if you are not comfortable with the vocabulary, you'll always get confused. Are they talking about Saguna or are they talking about Nirguna? Yeah, they're talking about the same thing. Nirguna only, which is appearing as Saguna. In Vedanta, we say one should keep mind in Atma. One should keep the mind in Atma. Tad buddhayaha tadatmanaha tannishtaha tatparayanaha. Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan says this. I mean, those who are keeping their mind in this truth, they are liberated. Devotion will say, or the same saint as a devotee, he will say, keep mind at the lotus feet of the Lord. In their understanding, they are very clear. What does Bhagavan's feet represent? There is one verse which is oft quoted between Dvaitam and Advaita Bhakti. Dvaitam mohaya, bodhat prak. Before knowledge, duality leads to moha. Duality brings some kind of moha. Dvaitam mohaya bodhat prak. Jate bodhe manishaya. Through knowledge, when this clear understanding took place. When knowledge took place through manisha. Jate bodhe manishaya means when study happened, reflection happened, clarity came. What was the stage of that sadhaka? Bhaktyartam kalpitam dvaitam. That duality which is practiced for the sake of bhakti. Advaitadapi sundaram. That is even sweeter than Advaitam. That is the expression of devotion for a jnani. Okay. Now Bhagavan is going to take up a different topic now. Saddarshanam, actually every verse is individual as an independent topic. Next 3 verses or so, he's talking about how totality is perceived only when there is individuality. Generally, what do we say? Individual depends upon total. Vyashti depends upon samashti. Bhagavan flips it. He says your perception of samashti depends upon vyashti. And you focus on the substratum of that vyashti, you will find Atma. Don't worry about samashti too much. Focus on vyashti, go to Atma. Yat panchakoshatmakamasti deham. Yat panchakoshatmakamasti deham. Tadantara kim bhuvanam chakasti. Tadantara kim bhuvanam chakasti. Deham vina panchavidham tadetate. Deham vina panchavidham tadetate. Pashyanti keva bhuvanam bhanantu. Pashyanti keva bhuvanam bhanantu. Yat panchakoshatmakamasti deham. Tadantara kim bhuvanam chakasti. Deham vina panchavidham tadetate. Pashyanti keva bhuvanam bhanantu. Panchakoshatmakam yat deham asti. That deha, I hope all of you are marking Anvaya. Saddarshanam, the secret lies in understanding Anvaya, understanding every word. Actually, whenever we discuss on Saddarshanam, right, we don't need to go here and there. Just stick with the main idea, just open up every word. That's why the Anvaya is important, word by word meaning is important. Panchakoshatmakam yat deham asti. So that body which is panchakoshatmaka. So deham here doesn't refer to only physical body. All 5 koshas. Panchakoshatmakam deham. Yad asti. Tad antara bhuvanam chakasti kim. Without this panchakosha, is this world recognized? Bhuvanam means this world. Chakasti means is it known? Bhagavan is asking us. He says, okay, what are the 5 Panchakoshas? First, revise that part. Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya, Manomaya, online also you can say, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya. What is Annamaya made up of? Annam. It is born from Annam, it is sustained by Annam, grows because of Annam, dissolves back into Annam. That is why it is called as Annamaya. Anna rasenaiva bhutva, Anna rasenaiva vruddhim prapya. Tad viliyate. Where is this from? Tattva Bodha. Tattva Bodha definition of Annamaya. So that which is born from Annam, sustained in Annam, perishes in Annam. That is called as Annamaya Kosha. Second one is Pranamaya. What all things are there in Pranamaya? Panchaprana and Vagendriya. Vagendriya and Panchaprana. Manomaya Kosha is Jnanendriya and mind. Vijnanamaya Kosha is Jnanendriya and Buddhi. Anandamaya Kosha is Karana Sharira. Karana Sharira. Now the important thing here to note here is, out of these 5, try removing one kosha and see whether world is available. Shall we try? Okay, let us try with last one, Anandamaya Kosha. If Anandamaya is not there, that is a cause for all other koshas. You cannot remove Anandamaya Kosha. Where Jagat itself is coming out of Anandamaya Kosha. Vyashti Jagat, Samashti Jagat, both are coming from Avidya Maya. So Anandamaya and Maya you can interchangeably use. Avidya, Karana Sharira, Anandamaya Kosha, Maya. All are same. Okay, come to the first one. Annamaya if you remove. So where is world? See, Bhagavan has given us framework for experimenting. Dream state is when Annamaya Kosha is removed. He says, in dream, is Jagat available to you? He says, no. Okay, go to Pranamaya. Remove Pranamaya. He says, everything you can remove, but Pranas you cannot. So only when Prana is there, Jagat is available. Pranamaya Jagat, Pranamaya Kosha is there, Jagat is seen. Manomaya, Vijnanamaya also same. Only when they are there, only when mind is there, Ahankara is there, Jagat is perceived. What Bhagavan wants to tell us here is, that world, why that world? This world, which we think to be so real, he says it is dependent upon you. Don't say Panchakosha. It is dependent upon me. So what we call as reality, he says that is only conditioned reality. World is available only when Ahankara is present. The representative of all Panchakoshas is Ahankara. Then he says, Tad etat deham vina. Tad etat panchavidham deham vina. Keva bhuvanam pashyanti. Tad etat panchavidham deham vina. Keva bhuvanam pashyanti bhanantu. After bhuvanam, you can put a question mark. Bhanantu is another word. This is without identifying with Panchakosha, without becoming Ahankara. Who is there to see this world? Tell me. Bhanantu means let them explain. Let people explain. How is world seen without Panchakoshas? Means without Ahankara, is Jagat is not even perceived. You have to enter into Panchakosha first, then only you can interact with Jagat. Now, there are some deeper implications of this verse. What did we first establish? The general idea is individual depends upon total. Whereas here Bhagavan is telling perception of totality depends upon your individuality. Don't say totality depends on individuality, not in that way. This is your perception of totality. You can establish totality only when individual is there. And you can establish individual only when Atma is there. So he says the absolute truth is Atma, individuality and totality. Both of them are an appearance. That is the first takeaway. Second takeaway is, in Vedanta we say we should have Vairagya from Jagat. We should have Vairagya from Jagat. If you look at this verse, what does it tell us? It says Jagat depends upon Panchakosha. If I want Vairagya from Jagat, where should I start? So I should start having Vairagya from Panchakosha. If we have attachment to Panchakosha and we are seeking Vairagya from Jagat, that will be fighting a losing battle. Every kosha that we are attached to has Sukha Sadhana coming from Jagat. Sukha Sadhana means for happiness. If I think I am Annamaya, where will the sources of pleasure for Annamaya come from? They are going to come from Jagat. If we think we are Manomaya, too attached to emotions, our own thoughts, that person cannot say, I will not seek Jagat for emotional support. See how both are related? Attachment to one emotions at Vyashti level will bring attachment from Samashti level. Every kosha that we are identified with will demand things from Jagat. Attached with my emotions, seek emotional support from the world. Attached to Vijnanamaya kosha, how does that express? Attachment with opinions. Attached to Vyashti opinion, will want everybody in Samashti to endorse it. That person cannot say, I will have Vairagya from... See, Vairagya also includes all these things. Vairagya is not only laddu, samosa, objects. Those are only for Rasanendriya. Vairagya has to be thought of at all levels. There is Vairagya from emotions also. Vairagya from opinions. That cannot happen as long as we are sitting comfortably, cocooned by this Panchakoshas. Kosha means to cover. So every kosha is coming and covering us in this way. And more we think about Vairagya at Vyashti, Vairagya from Samashti will become easier. If somebody can say, I am not this person who is having all these opinions, and this is not my absolute nature, he'll become more accepting towards opinions of Jagat. That is the sadhana mentioned in this verse. If I want Vairagya from Jagat, I have to start Vairagya from Panchakosha. Holding on to Panchakosha, samsara will very well remain. Even if we talk about Vairagya from Jagat. Really speaking, Vairagya from Jagat is not even possible. It will only remain in discussions. Now come to Mithyatva. What do we say? We want to finally establish Jagat Mithyatva. What does Vedanta say? If I want Jagat Mithyatva, where should I start? Panchakosha Mithyatva. To do this kind of inquiry, all our sadhana chatushtaya will get tested. You sit with such a thought, mind will fly off in some other direction. What quality do we need there? Shamaha. Then we need mumukshutvam also. That Jagat is not my goal, Atma is my goal. Viveka, Vairagya, Shamadhi, Shatka, Sampatti. That also we have to think about. If I want to meditate upon this verse and own up the vision that Bhagawan Ramana MaharshiJi is pointing out, what are the sadhana chatushtayas I have to increase? Is increase uparati. Don't get caught up in things where you need not enter. One of the meaning of sannyasa is giving up everything outside 5 koshas. Giving up everything means giving up desire for those things or setting goal as something outside of this 5 koshas. That is when you can really start doing Panchakosha Viveka. Yat Panchakoshatmakam asti deham tadantarakyam bhuvanam chakasti. Okay. I think all the main points we saw, but the implied meaning of this verse is important. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.